But we listened to him and we structured the deal in a way that he was happy with, charging different prices for different areas of the property. So that meant that we agreed the deal at 1.4 million. So the total income we make from it at the moment is £78,000.
Let's go to our next person, who's actually a couple. So please put your hands together and help me welcome Nick and Juliet Leonard. Round of applause, please. Thank you.
So I'm Juliet Leonard, and I used to be an actress many moons ago, and then I went into early years and childcare.
I'm Nick. I'm a writer and creative director in an advertising agency.
I'm the one who was passionate about property right from the beginning. I had a very small portfolio of buy-to-let properties before Mastermind, and the reason we decided to go into property fully was because of this little girl, Callie. Now, Callie was diagnosed with Down syndrome in the womb, and we knew that that would bring a certain amount of challenge.
But when Callie got seriously ill in the winter of 2018, she spent 6 months in hospital. The real challenge came not from her or the situation, but from my work. My boss, my manager, sadly, was enormously unsympathetic, unsupportive, and made life very, very difficult for us, insisting that I came into work. And the only way I could be where I felt that I really needed to be was to go and see my GP and put it all in his hands. And he very kindly diagnosed me with stress, and I was able to be by Callie's bedside, supporting Jules and her through it all.
Callie had multiple chest infections, life-threatening conditions, and she was eventually diagnosed with an unsafe swallow. So today she is tube-fed 100%, which brings challenges in itself.
But we realised that when we took on Callie, we took on the responsibility of being as good parents as we could possibly be for her. And we knew we wouldn't be able to do that properly while we were subject to an employer, while we were dependent on their goodwill. So we decided we needed to emancipate from that.
And so property. I decided that perhaps doing a little HMO course with Simon Zutshi would be a good idea, and Nick joined in. Then we went to Property Magic Live, and then we said yes to Mastermind. The rest is history. So we had a bit of a problem deciding on what strategy to take in the beginning. So we looked at single lets.
Yeah, we wanted something that really inspired us.
Yeah.
We
looked at multiple lets. We looked at land management, and we saw this place. Wow. We looked at hotels, and that took us down the road of hospitality, which really seemed to tick lots of our boxes.
Hospitality was a great choice for us. Both of us had worked in hospitality in the past. We ran Airbnb at home as well. We'd done that quite successfully for years. Jules is absolutely passionate about interiors and design, and I love working with brands, creating them, building them, conveying them. So it felt like a great move for us. It also felt like a great move strategically. Obviously, with Brexit, we've seen the rise of the staycation as European holidays become more and more difficult. That was absolutely locked in by COVID, excuse the pun, but as overseas travel has become virtually impossible, it made a real difference to people's holiday habits. Those were the short-term reasons. Longer term, we saw a big change in the rise of multi-generational holidays, so large groups of family going on holiday with granny and the grandchildren and needing plenty of space and an easy journey, keeping people at home. And then in addition to that, the massive spike in pets at home. During lockdown, people went crazy for buying dogs, and 3.2 million dogs were bought in 2020 alone. So we knew that even once lockdown was over, or once COVID was over, there would be plenty of people with dogs keen to go on holiday and take the dogs with them. So we decided that a dog-friendly, single-unit, UK-based holiday let was the place for us to go. Boom, we got that. But we made it difficult for ourselves. We didn't just buy anywhere off the peg. We wanted to create something. We wanted a brand, an experience, an offering.
I'd pretty much exhausted everything on the market at the time. We'd seen so many things until I saw this place just on Rightmove. It was the most expensive 5-bedroom house on the market in North Devon, our search area. Until I looked a little bit closer. It had been marketed very badly. The listing was in completely the wrong place because it wasn't a 5-bedroom house. It was a 6-bedroom house with annex, with 5 cottages, offices, 27 acres, and absolutely everything we could have wished for.
When we first came across it, it was on the market at 1.7 million, although the estate agent claimed that it had started out a bit north of 2 million. We didn't have that, but it was a problem property. It was proving difficult to mortgage, and the owner was very, very keen to move on and obviously really struggling. So having fallen completely in love with it, we took a massive leap of faith. We mortgaged all Jules's portfolio again to release as much as we could. We sold our house in Brighton, and we moved the kids and the au pair and her boyfriend, 7 of us, into my mother-in-law's 3-bedroom flat in New Haven so that we could put together a cash package and an offer that we could make to the vendor. It was a stressful time. We went back and forth. At one point, we even walked away from it, but we negotiated. We dealt with everything through continuous problem solving, through relying on the expertise and support of our network. So thank you, everybody who was involved in that very stressful stage. We also thankfully managed to build a really strong rapport with the owner, largely thanks to his love of dark rum, which we cottoned onto early and made sure we brought it to him. But we listened to him, and we structured the deal in a way that he was happy with, charging different prices for different areas of the property and making certain assurances to protect his tenants for the first 6 months after he left, so he wouldn't have to face them and tell them they were out on their ears. So that meant that we agreed the deal at 1.4 million. And the day we bought it, we split it. So we put the house and gardens into our property as our home, and we took the cottages, the outbuildings, and the land and put them into our company. That way, we knew that in future we'd be able to do the financing we would need on it to make sure it worked and that problem was solved. But the biggest win for us came in the stamp duty. A £1.4 million purchase, you'd expect a pretty huge stamp duty bill. If we claimed it as our moving house, we could perhaps have got away with 68,000, but probably a lot more when it became an investment. But thankfully, everything we'd learned on the course led us to ask the right questions of our solicitor, and when she couldn't answer them, to send her off to the right people. And so we worked together. We used multiple dwellings relief coupled with stamp duty holiday to bring the individual prices of the units down below the stamp duty thing, and coupled that with agricultural status, and ended up getting away with 18,875 in stamp duty, which is a massive saving. 50,000 to 90,000, which we think more than paid for our mastermind, even Jules's bar tab. So Westfall pays or brings in multiple streams of income. So this is one case study in many multitudes.
So what have we created so far? Well, this is the annex to the house outside of the business, but we are running it as the East Wing. It is probably over 2,000 square feet. It's a beautiful home from home. It's been refurbished in an English country house feel, and it lets people be Lord of the Manor. We can accommodate up to 7 guests here, and we are incredibly child and dog friendly. We launched it in April, and it's proving really quite popular. We can say that we've earned 18,000 to date in 15 weeks, and the projected profit for the next year is over 38,000. The next property we've managed to get our hands on is the smaller of the cottages. It's a 2-bedroom cottage which sleeps 4 guests, again dog-friendly, designed in a more contemporary feel. They're all light refurbishments. And this one has had rave reviews, as with the other. We're taking £1,000 a week profit, and over the next year, the projected profit for this cottage alone is 33,000.
But it's not just those, there are other income streams as well. When we first took it on, we agreed that the tenants could stay for 6 months. 1 or 2 of them have left, so we'll be transitioning the second cottage. We take possession of that in a week's time, and we think it'll take us about a month to do the basic refurb, get it all set up and marketed, and start marketing that. But the other 3 cottages we plan on having ready for the holiday season next year. In the meantime, though, they remain tenanted, and they pay us an average of £500 a month. In addition to that, there's the land. We have a load of grazing land and a good relationship with the local farmer. He not only pays us a small amount for the grazing, but he also really helps us out. Our sandpit came from there, all that sort of thing. And he keeps it up, looks after the land, and makes sure it's a great place for our guests to walk their dogs. So just a quick summary of the deals. And hopefully this is a bit more readable than it is on this screen. But we've split it into numerous items. So we've got the house, and we've got the price, what we think it's now worth based on valuations and the massive migration to Devon that we seem to be seeing in the UK, which is pushing property prices very nicely up for us. So net cash flow for that is 38 grand. Holiday cottage, we've only got 1 at this stage. Rental cottages, likewise. We have 4 of those at the moment. The buildings and land drain us a bit, but that's a necessary evil because they are kind of the offering as well. When we invite people to come and be lords of the manor, we're offering them 27 acres, which takes a bit of upkeep as well. So the total income we make from it at the moment is £78,000. However, as we own the properties and as we plan easily on transitioning them, we thought it was worth showing you the results, what happens when we do transition, because The other 4 cottages, as we move them across, each cottage will see a profit uplift of 2,300 in a month, leading us to an end profit of 190,500 in a year.
So how does this compare to other investments? When we bought Westford and the cottages, unencumbered, we're looking at a return on investment of a very humble 5%, not quite mastermind worthy. But as we move towards holiday lets, that rises to a respectable 19%. But we haven't financed yet, so we're going to pull out over £600,000 from the company alone, nothing to do with our house and business. We will invest that money in more properties, and the return on investment with that is a very respectable 62%.
So the next steps for the holiday business, we're going to automate all our processes. We're taking on a team of VAs to manage cleaners, do communications with guests, manage our social media, research, that kind of thing. We're going to spread beyond Airbnb by looking at a multiple bookings platform to enable us to harness all the benefits of numerous online travel agents. We're also going to be offering direct bookings through a website that's being designed at the moment, and we hope to launch very soon. I was hoping to show you today, but not quite yet. And we're also going to be looking at non-holiday uses to keep us warm in the winter, finding people who aren't on holidays, so reaching out to local businesses, whether they're nursing homes with family visiting, schools with prospective parents visiting, or local businesses with contractors and all that, to try and find ways to raise our occupancy levels in the downtime. We'll also be developing the offering in a number of different ways, my favourite of which is the development of a 4-acre dog walk in our deeper woods, which is going to be a lot of fun. But we'll really cement our offering for dog owners because, as we know, a dog is for life, not just for COVID.
There is a myriad of development potential at Westford. So we have a swimming pool and games room. We're pretty much at refurbishment point. And we're moving forward with a studio and event space which we can hold functions in. And next we have glamping. We already have a pre-app application in, and that's probably going to go forward to a new business on the land next summer. And we obviously have to be very much aware of costs, and we need to streamline expenses. So renewables with biomass boilers and solar arrays are another thing that we are looking at the moment. And finally, we have 2 enormous barn structures ripe for development, and we don't know what to do, so any suggestions would be great.
Right, we have a number of top tips which we'll gallop through because we're quite short of time.
So I think the biggest thing that we've had to go through on this journey is taking enormous risks. We sold our house and moved our entire family and moved schools and moved healthcare teams and moved just about everything, turning it upside down to get us into a position of being cash rich. And that was a bit of a gamble we took, and it paid off. And it's put us in this amazing position of being able to afford a home and a successful business. The other major tip is that you've got to know your customer, be it a tenant or an actual customer in our case. You've got to know what they want, provide it, and always over-deliver.
And as we've learned from Gary, cash really is king. If you can get in there and show them the money and let them smell it, it really is an incredibly powerful negotiating tool and worth really taking a risk to be able to do. The other side of it was your relationships, and we found that people have been incredibly helpful, incredibly useful, and I would say just build them as much as you can. There's an overwhelming amount of knowledge given to you on Mastermind, and sometimes it's possible to be quite bogged down by that. But actually, you don't really need to know much. You just need to know the first phone number, the right person to call and say, who do you know who? And property, very much unlike advertising, is surprisingly and wonderfully supportive. So if you can respect that, if you can join in and connect with it, if you can try and contribute as much as you're able, it really will help. And of course, you guys, a massive thank you to you guys. You have been fantastic to do this alongside. So where we are now?
Well, we are running a business that we are incredibly proud of, and I'm getting to fulfill all my passions of interiors and renovation and historic homes.
I'm now working 2 days a week. I could leave if I wanted to, but I choose to stay, and I let them know that. If ever I need to, I will be able to step away. And of course, our reason to being here, Callie as well, and she's safe. Those are the 2 main things. But on top of that, she's absolutely loving her rural life. She She started school last week and she's getting on really well. She's already made lots of friends and she's absolutely loving having a new doggy to play with every week. So what next? Well, once we've properly automated and got all this development done and we've refinanced and got the money out, we'd like to carry on exploring other areas. Having made Callie safe, we'd like to look at other people like her. We have a relationship with a charity in Brighton called Team Domenica, who provide vocational training opportunities for people with learning difficulties and special needs to allow them to live a productive life and not spend their lives in bed sitting in front of the telly. We'd like to apply what we've learned in property to that, to build out the model and provide an all singing, all dancing supported living program that enables people like Callie, and hopefully Callie when she gets to that age, to lead an independent life of purpose and fulfillment. So we hope we can get there, but we'll look forward to telling you about that in due course.
So thank you very much for listening, and thank you for being on this journey with us. So many of you have been so incredibly helpful. And to Mastermind, the whole Mastermind team, we would not be here doing what we're doing, which we love, without you. Thank you.
Very much.
I do hope you got massive value from watching this YouTube video. I'd encourage you to click on the link below to come and do the online training with me. And I've got another video lined up for you, which I think is also going to be really useful that you should watch once you've registered for the online training with me. So invest with knowledge, invest with skill. I'll see you very soon.